Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a truly special video on the Gareth Bull Knives Miura. For those of you that follow my channel here and on Instagram, you may be familiar with this knife. This is my 3.5-inch Gareth Bull Grail Wari. This is a knife that I've had for a little over a year. It features an M390 blade, a Mokume pivot collar, and this carbon plate, carbon fiber, as well as a Mokume standoff. This was an awesome knife to get from Gareth. It was the first time that he had ever worked with Mokume, and it was something that I had had as a vision for quite some time. For a number of years, I've been chasing a knife with Mokume and either wood or carbon fiber, and this was as close as I had gotten to a satisfactory result as of yet. If you'll recall, I had the Olamic Rainmaker, I had the Andre Thorburn F16, I had the Jick Knives Volt, and a few other knives with some similar combinations, but I finally think that I've achieved what I'm looking for by getting this knife. This is the Gareth Bull Miura. This is a less appreciated model done by Gareth that I am absolutely in love with, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it today. So, another reason I wanted to make this video is that this is probably the last time you're ever going to see the Grail Wari on the channel. As is popular nowadays, people are spending exorbitant amounts of money to purchase Shamwaris, and I have been offered a deal I simply can't refuse, and so this knife will be moving to a new home. I was not intending to sell it, but when someone offers you something that you simply can't refuse, sometimes you should take it, because at the end of the day, knives are just knives. But the spirit of this Mokume and carbon fiber knife is certainly going to live on in the Miura. The Miura is a design that was penned by Gareth long before he was making knives. This was based off of the Bob Terzula ATCF knife, which is a very classic folding tactical knife, one of the originals. Every time I post a picture of this, I get a few people who mention that it looks like a Bob Terzula design. Now, before Gareth ever made one of these knives, he sent a message to Bob asking if he could produce this knife that looks very similar to the ATCF, excuse me, and Bob said, "Go ahead, with my blessings, make 1,000 of them." And so I was really excited that when Gareth offered to make me another knife, I definitely wanted to get a Miura this time. The lines on this knife are absolutely stunning, and I just really enjoy it. And so I wanted to get this knife and show it to you guys, and we'll go ahead and get some details on it. Before I break it down, let's go ahead and get some vital signs. This particular Miura was built to my spec, and so the blade is coming in just a hair under 3.5 inches. It's probably about 3.4 inches right there. Overall length is right at about 8 inches. Your handle length is coming in at 4.5 inches with a similar effective grip area. On this one, the blade stock here is coming in at 137 thousandths, so a nice thin blade stock for sliciness, and the handle stock at 0.54 at its thickest point, but it is heavily contoured. This knife with its gobs of Mokume is a little bit heavier than perhaps a lighter EDC variant, coming in right at 5 ounces, which is very fine. 5 ounces is sort of the luxurious carry category where you get a little bit of weight, but it's not too heavy to carry, even in scrubs. So let's bring out another couple of knives for a size comparison. I'll bring back the Shamwari right here. This is a 3.5-inch Shamwari. So you can see that the Miura is just a little bit more compact in a few dimensions. It's not quite as tall. The blade is not quite as tall. And I really like the dimensions on the Miura. It's actually quite nice. Not that I dislike the Shamwari, but I appreciate a knife that uses its space very well. Let me bring out the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. Here you're going to see that it favors certainly the Paramilitary 2 blade size, but you get a nice amount of cutting length on this one and a much smaller handle, a much more compact handle. Let's go ahead and break this knife down anatomically. Finally, I get to show you guys some of these amazing details. My first knife was in M390, as you saw over there, but this time I wanted to go a little bit crazier and Gareth was offering to build knives in Damacore. It actually just so happened that last year, almost an entire year ago as of the publication of this video, Chad Nichols was having a Black Friday sale on some Mokume and on all of his products, and so I bought this Mokume and in this raindrop pattern, and then I realized that they were making rose pattern Damacore, so I asked Gareth to buy this pattern Damacore to match with this pattern of the Mokume. And it was absolutely a great decision. Now, originally, if you recall, if you follow me on Instagram and even watched my video after Blade Show 2019, this knife had some very different scales. It had some fat carbon copper scales that has since been changed out, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I was trying to match 3 patterns of sort of the rose pattern or raindrop pattern materials. I think that 2 out of the 3 were very successful, and then we've ended up with these carbon plate scales, which I'm very happy with. But back to the blade itself. Damacore is, as some of you may be aware, a Sanmai type steel, where the core is made of a proprietary powdered metallurgy steel called N11X that is based off of the Böhler Udenholm Vanax Super Clean formulation. However, this is a proprietary powdered metal made by Swedish Damasteel. It is a nitrogen-based steel, so very, very highly corrosion resistant, but also able to maintain and keep a very nice edge as well as take a nice edge. This one is beautifully adorned with the Damasteel Damascus on the sides. Of course, that's PMC 27 and RWL 34 on the cladding right there. The blade itself is hollow ground with a beautiful top swedge. Comes to a very nice fine tip. Beautifully ground. Take a look at the heel of the blade. You can see how thin that is behind the edge. Unbelievably slicey little blade right here. I very, very much like it. And the thinner blade stock really augments the performance of this blade. This is never going to be hard used, but it has been used for cutting things like rope and paper thus far. And it's been absolutely spectacular. I really, really like the blade shape on this knife. It is a very traditional and classic design. One of the pieces that I really like is this thumb ramp. That's a very Terzula-esque thumb ramp right there. But in the ergonomics of this knife, it just fits so, so nicely. And I really enjoy that. I just like the blade shape a lot. And it's equivalent to me to the Shamwari blade shape in terms of how much I like it. This one certainly has a bit more of the tactical edge, given that it's based off the Terzula and this aggressive top swedge. It's almost a dagger grind in what I'm seeing, but it's very, very nice. Something else, he does his sharpening choils quite well. A very nice sharpening choil going on there, sharpened all the way back to the heel of the blade. So let's go ahead and move back to the pivot here. Let's show you this amazing pivot face going on right here. This is a Damacore pivot face. Who else has a Damacore pivot face? I don't know anyone else who's got one right now. There's also a Damacore pivot collar on the back, which is simply awesome. I had no idea he was going to do that, and that is just one of those extra touches. When you give Gareth some materials and you say go to town, he always adds something a little bit special that you had no idea was coming, and so that is awesome. This thing runs on ball bearings and features Gareth's new Detent 2.0. Since Gareth had never been to a major international knife show before Blade Show 2019, his original detents were a little bit on the softer side. Not that there was a problem with that, it worked quite well, but traditionally South Africans have been making their front flippers with relatively light detents to make them easy to open. But when Gareth went to the Blade Show 2019, his eyes were open to the detent possibilities. Now his newest knives feature a very crispy, snappy, and strong detent that is unlike knives even before June of 2019. I really love the action on this, and it's quite impressive. I actually had the knife at Blade Show. He delivered the knife at Blade Show 2019, and when we both expressed our dissatisfaction with the fat carbon scales, I sent it back to him, and he retuned the detent to the new one, and so it's absolutely great. It's a new generation of knives. If you've handled a Shamwari from after Blade Show 2019 and before, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The detents are night and day different. Let's go ahead and talk about the bolsters. As I mentioned, this is Chad Nichols' Raindrop Mokume. Mokume being a combination of 3 metals, copper, bronze, and nickel silver, arranged in this beautiful pattern, forge welded and pattern welded into this raindrop pattern. I wanted to wait a little while to make this video so that you guys could appreciate the patina that this material takes. Mokume, unlike Timascus and Zircuti and all those other fancy materials you've seen on my channel, will change color and its appearance over time because they are metals that patinate, that change their colors based on the environment. I cleaned this knife right when I got it, and I reset the patina, and I wanted to carry it for a couple of weeks before I made the video so you can see what it looks like when it has achieved basically I call it its quaternary patina. The original patina is just what it looks like when it's clean. There's sort of a secondary stage that happens a couple of days later where the copper becomes nice and orange and the bronze turns dark. And then there's a third stage where the copper becomes very dark, like this color over here. And the bronze also turns a little darker, but the silver remains silver. And then when you start carrying it and using it, it develops its 4th level of patina, which is what you see here, where there is an actual color shift. There's darker colors here, back to a more traditional copper tone back here. You can see it more exaggeratedly on the back side here. I love it. This is what I wanted on my Mokume knife, was this color shift. It makes the knife feel alive. Every time you touch the knife, it's going to look a little bit different. Some people are going to lose their minds about this. Some people do not enjoy Mokume for that reason because they don't want a patina. But I have been chasing this effect for a number of years, and finally, I think that I've found the perfect pattern with the perfect finish. Notice also he's done this beautiful orange peel finish. I am really not a fan of polished Mokume. Given that it's made out of soft metals, it scratches super easily if you have a polished finish, and it goes immediately into hairline scratches and it just ruins it. However, this orange peel hides any and all minor scratches and really allows the patina to take a very unique form. Notice also that the scales have been dovetailed into those bolsters, and you're also going to get a nice, beautiful view now of the full-length Mokume backspacer going on this knife. Yes, that is a full-length Chad Nichols Mokume backspacer to complement those bolsters. Moving back to the scales, you can see it's done in that beautiful bronze dust carbon fiber that I love so much from the Shamwari. The fat carbon scales that you can see in the original video after Blade Show just didn't look quite right to me. In the flat sheet form, that carbon fiber had very similar patterns to these two metals, but as you contour it, it takes on a funny look, and it just didn't look right, and so Gareth was kind enough to redo the scales in this carbon plate, carbon fiber right here, and I think that it just finishes the look off beautifully. You get the beautiful bronzes in the Mokume flowing into this. Then he went back and bronze anodized the frame, the hardware, and the clip, leaving just the pivot screw as a silver screw as a nice contrast with that blade right there. Absolutely a beautiful, beautiful knife. What do I think of the knife? Ergonomically, this size fits beautifully in my hand. There's really a single position for holding this knife, as is true of the Terzula design. The Terzula design is a tactical design. This is also a tactical design meant for forward thrusting and cuts. And so you have to understand that. But in the hand, it's extremely ergonomic. There's a finger choil here and a nice rest there. Again, the thumb ramp on the blade is phenomenal. It fits in the hand really well, feels good. I've mentioned the detent is super snappy, and as you can see, the action is glorious. It just drops shut under its own weight. Beautifully centered. So this knife really is kind of my dream knife. I'm not going to lie. I've been chasing a custom build with Mokume for a number of years, and I felt like I kept failing, but I've finally gotten to the knife that I think is the perfect representation of what I was trying to do. Find a nice steel, with Damacore being my favorite steel in the world, it's just the craziest stuff. Van Dyke's Core Sanmai is unbelievably high performance. I've got a beautifully, perfectly patterned Mokume billet right here on these bolsters, and my favorite carbon fiber in the world on the back. And it's made by one of my absolute favorite makers. Getting to meet Gareth and Jason at the Blade Show 2019 was absolutely a joy. We shared a number of drinks and some good times, and it couldn't have been more fun. I really think that meeting the makers at these shows makes a huge difference, so that you understand the dynamics of their personality, that you get to understand the person behind the knife. And, you know, sometimes they say don't meet your heroes because it's only going to make things worse. But meeting Gareth and Jason really only made these knives more special to me, because now I feel like we're almost real friends, because we've hung out and drank and just joked about this and that and talked about everything but knives, and then just had a great time. So again, the Bull brothers have knocked it out of the park with this Miura. I think that the Miura is an overlooked model, and I hope that they start to make some more for their drops over the coming years. I think that they will be just as popular as the Shamwaris, and so I'm really excited to have this one in the collection. Again, we're going to say goodbye to the Grail Wari here. I will not be without a Shamwari forever, but there will be some time where I don't have a Shamwari. So we're just going to have to live with this, as if there's any kind of a problem with that. In any case, guys, let me know what you think of the Miura down below in the comments. Go ahead and click like and subscribe to my channel here. Head over to Instagram and follow me at Dr. Frunkey, where you can get more pictures and videos of my knives. You can help support me by going to patreon.com/Dr. Frunkey. You can also follow the Bull brothers at Gareth Bull Knives and at Jason Bull Knives on Instagram, where you will find most of their information, as well as heading over to the Facebook group, Gareth Bull Knives Buy, Sell, Trade, where you can find a lot of information about their knives, and often a knife or two for sale if you're trying to get in on this Shamwari action. Anyways, guys, thank you again, and as always, this is Dr. Frunkey saying take care.